This IGN review sums it up. Unfortunately, Nickelodeon's new animated series based on the TMNT franchise fails to live up to the source material or its potential. The series is bogged down by an overly cartoony style. Instead of the dramatic, edgy heroes of the comics, we get a group of preteens. Oh wait, I lied. This is actually a review from 2003 about Cartoon Network's new Teen Titans cartoon. And, as we all know, this review is right. Teen Titans definitely isn't widely beloved, definitely didn't receive critical acclaim, definitely never covered serious themes, definitely didn't draw in new fans to the franchise, and definitely wasn't popular enough that the network was able to launch an entire spin-off series that targeted a slightly younger audience. I'm being facetious. Teen Titans did all of those things. And Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles could have done all of those things too, if Viacom, CBS, and Nickelodeon hadn't been cowards. Following this, the pilot, Mystic Mayhem, and the first short episodes, including Origami Tsunami, Donnie's Gifts, War and Pizza, Newsworthy, and Repo Mantis, were released to YouTube for everyone to watch. Once again, there were various responses to the new content. Some praised the artwork while not fully connecting with the new direction, but it really clicked for some people, and a dedicated fanbase sprung up right away. Later that same month in July 2018, a week or two after the sneak peek, the show was greenlit for a second season, which began production soon after. But, one fateful day in August 2018, nostalgia critic Cursed Be His Name released a video reviewing the first several episodes of the show. This video crystallized all past criticism and shaped most bad faith criticism after.
But in terms of the personality, there's little to no difference. Because they're all exactly alike. The show is taking a very similar route as Teen Titans Go.
These became rallying cries for detractors of the show, whether they had seen it or not. Part 2. The show. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick balanced overview of the show and the criticisms that it gets, but this is also the part where I admit that I'm a biased human being and that I'm very salty about the way that things turned out here. First, I'm just going to say it's good. It has incredible industry-setting standards of animation and visuals. It has a really good, compelling through-line story and a lot of character development and a lot of really cool, actual, well-seated plot twists. It does have some more serious moments at times and like actual scary, intense moments, so that's really cool, and obviously that's all carried out really well through the writing and the visual style. It doesn't get bogged down in a lot of the stuff that superhero media tends to get bogged down in, and I think that that's really neat. Alright, so time to address some specific criticisms that the show has gotten.
Oh, this is going to be fun!
I'm going to be honest and say that a lot of these came from a place of bad faith or resistance to change, and I don't really have anything to say to that. If that's you, then, like, live your life. But I'm really tired of the show being compared to Teen Titans Go. That's part of why I included that bit in the beginning. Rise isn't Teen Titans Go. Rise is Teen Titans. Teen Titans was the first major break from the established canon and had a completely different target audience and a completely different look and feel that was very bright, targeted towards preteens. And it ended up being really, really good, changing the source material that it was based on. It's a lot of people's favorite versions, and it brought in a lot of new fans. Teen Titans Go doesn't compare to Rise because Rise is revolutionary and groundbreaking the way that Teen Titans was. So about the tone. Again, not every show is going to be for everyone, and that's fine. I'm going to stress again that the show is for children, and so complaining that it isn't edgy enough is definitely a strange take. And that's not to say that it doesn't have scary moments and challenging themes and actual points to make. It's just that the creators were intentionally balancing comedy with action. And some people just aren't used to that. It's fine. So as far as the plot, it's worth mentioning that the series was originally conceived as a bunch of standalone stories and that a studio mandate pushed them to incorporate an overarching story. But I think that they do it better than most shows that I've seen. My next point is personalities.
Now this, I've been looking forward to.
AKA, I watched my first and only Nostalgia Critic video to make this point.
They're playing my song.
Their looks are fine as long as it matches their personality traits, like Michelangelo.
You must be this rad to ride that ride.
The party dude, Leonardo.
Oh yeah!
The party dude, Raphael.
Cannonball!
The party dude, and Donatello, the machine guy. Note also a party dude.
Based on our velocity and entry angle, I concur.
Well, at least April is there to act as...
Who has crushed it? Give me 5 or 3. Yeah.
A party dude?
Imagine claiming that characters all have the same personality for daring to express joy.
Okay, I'll admit, it's not like the Turtles were the most fleshed out of characters. But in terms of their personality, you could still tell them apart. Despite them looking identical except for their mask colors, you still knew who would say what in a situation. For example, who's this?
Why don't we just find these ninja thieves for her? And perhaps she could help us find a cure for Splinter's condition.
That's the grounded responsibility of Leonardo. Who's this?
Bingo. Yeah, we're dealing with a real mind here.
That's the wisecracking cynicism of Raphael. Who's this?
Rock, dudes! It's a place where we can get some pizza!
That's the totally baked, dim-witted charm of Michelangelo. Now, let's try it with the other turtles. Who's this?
Teriyaki shakedown always gets me so jazzed.
Well, that sounds like the goofiness of Michelangelo. Oh, nope, it's Donatello. How about this?
What? I can't make a joke in the middle of the craziest thing ever? That's how I cope.
Well, that also sounds like the goofiness of Michelangelo. Oh, it's Leonardo. How about this?
Let's go bungee dunk on the hoops at Rucker Park.
Well, I'm just gonna go against the grain and say that's Raphael. Oh, that's Michelangelo! See a problem?
Something really funny that he does is he complains about how these two villains that show up in the beginning of the story,
the two henchmen turn into bug aliens riding their dogs as steeds. And the action just kind of starts without knowing what these two guys' personalities are.
we don't get their full backstory like immediately. Like the turtles get attacked by these guys and he's like,
Look at them! Don't you want to know more about these two weirdos?
and then later when they go to the hidden city and they spend 10 seconds explaining to the viewer that they are in a magical hidden city, he complains that there is exposition.
They find April, they hug, and then they immediately just talk about where they are.
And we're in a mystic hidden city, deep under New York.
It's the relationships that's the heart of the show.
So I'm going to be deadly honest here. It feels terrible to say, but he does have some points. Retroactively, it's really easy to identify specific lines the characters say and go, oh, that's their personality, that makes sense.
So, you guys from Jersey?
A few hours ago, I would have called this foolish and impossible. Now I just call it foolish.
When you're watching it the first time, I understand how someone might not be able to distinguish them because it's so different from what they're used to. It's fair. Fine. You got me there. Like, a lot of good shows have jank in the beginning, and this show has some jank. If you struggle to connect with the first few episodes because of that, I get it. However, this does not erase the cardinal sin of being a man who talks about media on YouTube and yet seems to be fundamentally incapable of engaging with it. My favorite example of this is when they're in a lab and there's like this teleporting dog that saves them, and he's like,
and the Muppet Minion teleports everyone out, making you wonder why he didn't just teleport out before.
But like multiple times earlier in the scene, it's shown through clear visual language that the dog thing can't escape because of the force field around it. And then in the shot before the one he shows in the video, you see the force field get broken, and then the dog thing immediately teleports them out, and it's like, to me it really calls into question the validity of his other claims, because like he's either so deeply unobservant as to not comprehend a scene designed for children, or he's just lying. Also, to return to Nostalgia Critic's point about the world building not being explained, we do eventually learn more about those two guys in the pilot that Nostalgia Critic was curious about, but we don't learn those things just in the first couple of episodes, and that's not a mistake, it's a deliberate choice. Anyway, to properly respond to the point about their personalities being the same, in this version I'm going to remind you it is a comedy, and they are all very silly. But I think that the person who thinks that Ninja Turtle men should not be silly has some thinking to do. The hill I'm going to die on in this life is that silliness and seriousness are not mutually exclusive, but that's just me. Also, while I think I've been pretty fair about pointing out places where the show could be criticized, I think it's also worth acknowledging that most people use the same personality criticism in bad faith because they don't like the show and they want an objective seeming reason to dislike it. So to do a quick rundown of the characters. So we have Mikey.
Yay, arts and crafts!
Upgraded from either being a witless punching bag, or comic relief, or just a frat party bro. And he's now free to be a sensitive, observant, optimistic, sunshine child artist type that's treated with respect. April is finally a character. And not a MacGuffin like she is in pretty much every other version. Or sometimes it seems like the only reason that she's there is because she has magical powers related to their destiny or something, and it's like, okay. But this April actually has a personality and agency. Leo. Now that he doesn't have his entire personality consumed with being the leader, he gets to finally do something else. keeping with older versions, has a pathological need for acceptance. And Raph is now free of angsting about not being the leader, so now he gets to be a go-getter, jock, protective older brother, which is so nice. This child is so big. We have to talk about Splinter. Yeah, he's kind of a jerk at the beginning, but that isn't a flaw, it's a feature. It's the whole point is that he has a flaw that he needs to overcome, because he has an arc, which happens in stories sometimes where things happen in them, and then the characters are different after the arc happens. Also, like, the creator specifically wanted him to be closer to his kids in this version and to be more of a actual parent figure rather than a distant sensei. And so the kids will actually call him Papa or Dad, Daddy-o, a bunch of different varieties on that. It's just so nice that he's allowed to be silly and gross instead of upholding the sort of like traditionalist, authoritarian, wise old man stereotype that feels vaguely orientalist and has always gotten on my nerves. So maybe that's just a me thing, but I do really love it because the key difference about this Winter is that he's a hedonist. Like, yeah, he's still got some wisdom. He's got some mad ninja skills. He's got his tragic backstory or whatever, but he's just a full hedonist. He just likes to have a good time. And same. So we have to talk about the leader thing, apparently.
Give it back!
Gee, a fight between Leo and Raph? Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Every other version has this rivalry. I like to watch other versions and then clock exactly how many seconds it takes for them to fall back on using that as a conflict for the characters, and it's usually the first scene that the turtles are in, and it usually is under like 5 minutes. And when that happens, it just means that poor beta cuck Mikey and Donnie have to watch this happen from the sidelines while Leo and Raph fight to be the big alpha boy, while Splinter doesn't do anything about it, if not make it worse. Because apparently there does have to be a leader, as if they're in the military and not literal children. And so in Rise, Raph is the leader in the sense that eldest siblings are the leader, which is that they aren't really, they're in charge because they're the oldest, but like their siblings don't really have to listen to them, and everyone just kind of does whatever. And that feels way more authentic to me. Taking away the leader element has done nothing but help the series, because it means the characters are free to do other things. It's especially interesting that when this trait is moved around, I think that they honestly preserve a lot of the characters' core traits. Like, for example, Leo in his past iterations wants Splinter's approval really, really bad, which is why he's such a goody two-shoes, straight-laced, lawful good boy. And to, like, expand on freeing the characters from stuff that was a little bit constricting. Raph in previous versions is pretty much entirely eaten up by the angst of not being the biggest boy. And so now he is very big. I mean, most importantly, it seems like in past versions his defining trait is being angry. And I know that, like, anger is a real thing that happens, but making that someone's only allowed emotion is a little bit tiring. It's really nice to see Raph where he's able to be himself, and that's not to say that he's not experiencing and so they argue about that, but it never reaches the, like, Richard III Hamlet kind of level of sibling rivalry, and more it's just a sibling squabble that doesn't matter because they're siblings and they love and trust each other. Imagine.